All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello, hello, hello. It's a spooky hello of Blame Your Brother. That's right. We are streaming the show right now live on YouTube, 8 p.m. every Thursday night. Come hang out with us, youtube.com/Blame Your Brother. And we are just a few days away from Halloween. So tonight we're doing the Mount Rushmore of Halloween Costumes. So it should be a good one. I've done some thinking about it, and I can't wait to get to that list. But, you know, we have many things to discuss before then. Obviously, there are two of us that come to you every week. I'm one half of that duo. I am David, a.k.a. D-Brew, voice of people, Glenn Jackson, spiritual midget, Mr. Wonderful. This dude sitting to my left is John.
John here, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Group Prime, Mr. PTI, the Madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman. They do. Okay, he's a madman.
All right, yes, David and John, we have much, like I said, to discuss. Some news stories this week, our Mount Rushmore, and things happen. So before we do that, we did have a few comments about our Mount Rushmore. Last week we did the Mount Rushmore of Halloween candy. And I will just say the comments I got, Trapper Haskins wrote to us, peanut butter cups and Skittles. Everything else is dead weight. And Baco, who I do want to mention just a second, I want to make a candy corn joke, but it actually belongs. So, I mean, whether you like candy corn or not, it did belong.
It's a staple, so.
We got Doug Metcalf in the chat. Do you know this man?
I do know.
All right,
he works with me
what
at
he
the
said.
hotel.
He's the security guard. He's going to be the security guard at the chat room now, so keep those people down.
You gotta rein them in, all right, bud?
Yeah, we got all of our regulars here. So, yeah, so yesterday I had the great opportunity and the pleasure. I was a guest on the Cobras and Fire podcast once again, and I had a really good time. It was me and Baco talking about a number of things, satire and society. We talked about some music, and then we did a Mount Rushmore of worst 90s bands, okay? So I wrote my list down, and I will tell you his as well, and you're not probably going to like some of the bands on here that he listed.
I'm sure deeply something came up.
It would have, but it had to be like, he said platinum selling artists. But I'll get his in a second. I had Creed, Limp Bizkit, Dave Matthews Band, and Smash Mouth were my worst 90s bands. He had Dishwalla, Eve 6.
Ooh.
I gave him a little grief about it. Matchbox 20.
Oh, no.
And the Cardigans were his last one. So he definitely went a different round. Then he had a bunch of also rans. And I told him, I mean, he started listed like Better Than Ezra. He listed a bunch of bands. I go, yeah, I love all those bands. I was like, yeah, I've seen Matchbox 20. Anyway, probably shouldn't have buried the lead. But the point is, you can hear us discuss all those. You probably won't remember it, but that episode will be coming out very soon, next couple of days, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much, Baco, for having me. And it might be kind of a, I've told them if they ever need me on there, I would love to do more guests because I love those guys. So go Cobras and Fire podcast, go check those guys out. All right, well, let's talk about our past week. This past Saturday, we went to my grandmother's memorial, okay? And so people are like, well, okay. It was all right. I mean, it was a memorial, Now, what was a bit weird, as I walk in, my aunt's there, and she walks up, and she kind of pulls me over, and she's like, I've got these pictures to give you. And they were like old pictures from the late 90s, 99, had to be where they were all from. And I went, oh, this is weird in my head. Like, where are these pictures from? And she's like, my friend knows your ex-girlfriend who gave them to her to give to you. Now, that's a bit odd, right? Like, I think I just downplayed the weirdness of it. Like, okay, yeah, that's weird. So my ex-girlfriend who, now I have not.
You got to keep in mind, everyone, David's been married for 16 plus years.
I haven't seen this woman for 20 years almost, right? I mean, give or take.
No, yeah.
I mean, it's in there. It's in the ballpark. That's weird. I heard she moved to Oregon or somewhere up there, and then she came back down here, I think, and gave the photos to her. I don't know, man. It's just kind of strange. But whatever. It was fun to look back at the pictures. I've posted a few on social media. They are quite something else. When you look back at just it's fun. I think it's fun for me to look back at that period of my life because it truly was. I see people when they talk about high school in like such a glowing manner, like, oh, I loved high school. It was the best time of my life. I was like, I did not enjoy the high school experience. The years weren't that bad when I was not in high school, but the high school experience itself sucked. I did not enjoy it. But when me, Kenny, and John, so John here and then our friend Kenny, we all moved in an apartment. That is one of, I mean, truthfully, I'm obviously discrediting, like, I'm not talking about getting married or
having kids.
Or having kids. I'm talking about just having fun with like your friends. That was probably like one of the best years of my life.
I could probably draw more stories from that year.
Yeah.
Than any other specific year
for sure
of my life.
Right. Yeah, it was fantastic. So I love to look back at those. It was only a year. That's what's crazy.
I know it felt like it was like 5 or 6.
It did because we did so many things. We had so much fun, and it was just, unfortunately, the girlfriend kind of, in a way, had a way of us ending that. I think our roommate Kenny probably was out anyway, truthfully. But regardless, we'll never know. But it's fun to look back at this. What I'm saying. But anyway, so. We have the memorial. My grandmother passed away, taking time to reflect on it. It was a bit emotional. I got a little bit choked up when a couple people got up to speak, just hearing their memories, because my grandmother had this huge circle of people that she just welcomed into her life, very accepting, it's funny.
She was a very welcoming person. To meet her, it's almost like you were already known by her.
Yes. And not very judgmental. When you look at where I grew up in grew up in the South. I don't want to say the deep South, but my relatives were deep South, as they say, relatives, rednecks, if that's what I was called growing up, there was some truth to it. I don't think I took on that moniker, but I was around people that were. And she was very accepting and just open to all these different types of people. But so it's great to hear different people talk about that, where you can see like people I didn't even know were like talking about her in such a glowing fashion. I'm going to get to it in just a second. And it's great to look back and see that now I realize I never really think about this until just recently, is that my mother had a lot of those traits in her. And then I kind of see where I kind of get those traits from. So it's really nice to look at that tapestry of life. But let's talk about one of the speakers that was there. Now we flip open this memorial little thing. What is it called? A memorial. It's
the program.
The program, yes. It's got a picture of my grandma on the front. Rest in peace. Linda Jane Patterson. Blah blah blah. Then we're looking at all the people speaking. Now I'm curious. John got to get up and read from
Ecclesiastes 3.
Okay.
For those who you don't know, it's pretty much the bird song. Time.
Yeah. Okay. So for every season.
Yeah.
For every season, burn, or whatever. Okay. Yeah. So John got to do that, and I'm looking. I just need to know where I'm at. When am I speaking? Blah, blah, blah. I'm looking down the speakers, and I noticed there's a speaker by the name of Mad Mel, M-E-L. M-A-D space M-E-L. I thought, well, okay. That's not a name. That I know of. Most people have a first name and a last name. Maybe you have two last names and maybe you have like two first names, but they are separate. This is obviously a moniker someone has given to themselves. Mad Mel. It'd be like me putting D. Brew on there or you putting Tico on there. Like you wouldn't do this, right? Unless.
Especially not for a funeral.
But now for the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. So I meet this woman. I'll walk in and I meet this woman and she is she's wearing
like a pinkish sweater
and these yoga pants that were bright orange with cats on them.
They were Christmas cats.
Yes. I'm not making the pattern sound wild enough, but I can't really do it justice. Anyway.
Christmas cats.
Yes.
I mean, they had cats all over it. They're all wearing little Santa hats.
And so we'll get to that. And so I don't know this woman, and she walks up to me immediately. And I've told you before, and I'll tell anyone else, in life, the weirdest people usually come to me. And I think it's because I've continuously said this. I generally make eye contact with people when I first walk in a room. I may not maintain the eye contact, but definitely when I walk in, I look at people in the eyes. I don't know if that's my upbringing or if I'm just curious. I think I'm just curious to see who's in the room. Well, I see her, and here she comes to me, and I don't know who this woman is. I don't know who a lot of the people in the room are, truthfully. I mean, most of them I'd seen, at least knew who they kind of were. Obviously, I knew my relatives, my friends, that, but I didn't know who this woman was. She starts talking to me, like she is upset. She is probably, minus a few other people I saw in the room, the most upset person there. And I'm like, who is this person? Like, I literally do not know who this person is. So she starts telling me her backstory, the first backstory, and that she worked in the nursing home, the medical center where my grandmother was, and she was the entertainer. And so she's like, who are you? And I'm like, I'm David. I was her grandson, and Kathy was my mom. And she's like, oh, how's Kathy doing? I'm like, oh, well, Kathy passed away like in March. And she almost started crying about that. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like, look, I get it. Like, you're sad. I'm thinking, does this woman know my mom? She did. We'll get to that at the end as well. But so she's talking to me, and then we sit down. I'm like, all right. And I don't know who. I do not know that's Mad Mel. I have no idea who Mad Mel is. I'm looking around the room. I'm looking at dudes like, is that Mad Mel? Like, who is Mad Mel? Anyway, service starts. You get up. I get up. My sister gets up. Blah, blah. All these people get up. And then Mad Mel. It's her. It's her. That is Mad Mel. And she brings up a bag full of items. And I said, you just think to yourself.
It's like the carrot top of funerals.
Yes. Yes, that's a good one, John. And I just thought to myself, hang on for the ride. Because I'm in. I'm on the airplane. We're not coming down. I'm on for the ride, baby. I don't care.
You're either going to land or you're going to crash.
I've never heard. I haven't been to too many memorials, but I've been to enough. I've never seen someone get the hook to get off the stage, essentially. I've never seen that before. I will say this. I thought her speech was actually good. I really did. I was like, this stranger to us is speaking the longest about her. Now, I could have talked for an hour, but I don't feel that's
not the right place to it. Yeah.
I had a certain amount of time that whatever. She gets up there and she starts saying, and it was really cute stuff. It was, Linda, she called her, I think most people call my grandmother Jane, but Linda, Jane, whatever.
I think anyone that wasn't like purely family called her Jane.
Right.
And it seemed like everybody that was like blood relative called her Linda.
And most people just called her Granny. Like,
yeah.
So she's, she would sing to her and she was into it. And then she'd bring out these puppets. I went, okay. And so she said she liked this puppet. She loved cats. That's why I'm wearing the cat. And she did love cats. That's true. That's the truth. That's why I'm wearing these cats and leggings. She brings out one puppet. She brings out another puppet. And she's not doing the voices with the puppet. She's just showing us the puppet. She pantomimed with the puppets. And I thought she was going to start doing the voices. And man, that would have been fantastic. But she did not.
I thought she was going to create a sing-along of how much is that doggy in the window. I really thought that was going to happen.
Because that's the song she referenced.
Yeah.
So anyways, she brings out 3 puppets, and then she wants to do something else, and my aunt's like, look, you got to get off the stage. Somebody else wants to get up. So, okay. So service is over. It was good. It was, like I said, it told a very, I think it painted a very good picture of who my grandmother was, through all these different, there was that one girl got up, which was a friend of my cousin's, and she read this poem she had written, and she talked about how Granny had helped her during this dark period of her life. It was like moving. I was like, I was almost like in tears over that. I was like,
I thought that was really cool because I thought I knew everybody,
right?
And I'd seen all those people,
right?
Before.
Yeah.
But I'd never met her,
right?
And the fact that what she said she was going through a dark time, and that your granny had told her you should write.
Right. It's crazy. And I've always liked to write, I don't write enough as it is, but I always tell myself I'm going to start writing again, but I never knew where I got that from. I was like, who in my family is a writer? I believe you get these things from people. Sure, you can learn these things, but if you're inherently just writing like I was in school all the time because I didn't want to be there, I was like, I never thought like, who did that come from? But it must have came from somebody on that side. Anyway. Things over, talking to the cousins, catching up, good stuff. Everybody's doing good. And I'm in the parking lot, and Mad Mel comes directly to me, okay? Directly to me. Not to John, not to Penny, not to anyone, no, to me. And then she starts talking to me for 15 plus minutes. You guys say it was longer than that. I think it was 15 minutes, but you guys say it was longer. And I got to tell you something. I thought this woman was one of the most fascinating people I had met in a long time. I mean, she was telling me that she had performed for military people. She apparently is a singer. She did off-Broadway shows, I think. She did a bunch of plays. She did it on the East Coast. She did it on the West Coast. She was telling me stories how she had met these veterans that had served in World War I. Some had served in World War II. And I was just like, wow, this is crazy, man. Like, you don't really meet many people like that. And I like meeting weird people. I just do want to state that for the record. I like meeting them until it becomes uncomfortable. And it didn't get uncomfortable. My wife comes over and she breaks it off. She's like, yeah, well, I think we got to go. And I was trying to save you. I was like, oh, I would have listened to that woman talk for another 20 minutes. I mean, she was just interesting to me. So she's like, well, go check out my website, madmel.net. Madmel.net. Okay.
I'm surprised that's not taken.
Right. And so we find out her legal name is Mad Mel. That's why it said Mad Mel in the program, because that's
legal name.
Yeah, she legally changed her name to Mad Mel. So, joke's on us. That's her name. So, of course, that's what you put on there. And I went to the website, and man, I could not believe this woman was the same. This woman on this website was like attractive. I was like, wow, this is crazy, man. Like, it kind of just blows your mind. Sometimes when you meet someone, and how old was this woman? I mean, probably mid-60s.
That's the way it looked. Okay. Yeah.
And so I think sometimes we get trapped in looking at people as who they are when you meet them or when you're talking to them, and you don't think, like, most of us were all younger people. Coming back to the pictures, that's why we like to look at old pictures, and we were much younger and we were much more conventionally attractive by society's standards. We had lives, we went out and we had fun, but I think we forget about that as we move on. So I would encourage everyone to check out madmel.net. It's not the best website, but it does list a lot of her things, and it was a good story. I will say that. I mean, I will never forget about this woman. And so you can say what you want about life, and I think that's what bugs me about when we pass away is that a lot of time we are forgotten about, right? Like, in 200 years, is anyone really truthfully going to remember my grandmother? I mean, no, probably not. Like, I don't know they're going to remember me in 200 years unless something crazy happens. Unless you're in the news, something historical happened. Just think about it. I would ask anyone, do you really know anything about your great grandfather, grandmother? No, I mean, not really. You may know their name and you may read about a few things they did, but you don't know them as people. You'll never know their personality. So, yeah, life, it comes at you. So that was what we did Saturday. Like I said, it was good to see everyone. Obviously you don't see family enough, but it was good to see that and kind of just, do justice to someone's life in as short a period of time as you could. So that's anything helping to you this week?
Not really. There's this meme where someone takes an empty toilet paper roll and 2 full rolls, and they put the 2 full rolls on top of the toilet seat, and then put the empty one like between the seat and the
okay, and
it looks like the toilet is smoking.
Okay.
And so I did this and tried to get Robin to just look at it and to laugh or whatever. And whenever I'm up to anything, which is almost always,
right,
she's kind of like, I'm not up for your games today.
Yes.
And so she just kind of rolls it off. But several days later, my 5-year-old son finds an empty toilet paper roll in the downstairs bathroom, and he proceeds to set this up minutes after he gets home from school.
Okay.
And he comes out of the bathroom with this grin on his face. I'm like, oh no. And he's like, go look, go look. And I'm like, oh no, what did he do? And then I see what he did, and it perfect mock-up.
Right.
And I just bust out laughing. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So.
They're definitely watching.
So yeah.
Now, what is this thing again? So you do what now? You
take an empty toilet paper roll.
I get
where it's
that.
just the brown part.
Yes.
And you put that between the seat and the lid of the toilet.
I get you.
Okay. Then you take 2 full rolls.
Okay.
And put them on the top and put them next to each other, and the 2 full rolls look like eyeballs.
I got you. Okay.
And so it looks like the toilet is smoking.
I got you. Looks like those are I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like smoke coming out, and I went, Am I missing something? Okay, it looks like
If he could do that,
that'd be something else. Well, there you go. That's John's TikTok
there you
meme
go.
of the week. I have not seen that one yet, but all right. Well, we got to jump to a few stories here. Obviously, some big ones. The first one, we're all having a better week than our man Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin, if you do not know, essentially killed someone. I'm not going to say he did not murder them, but he did kill someone. It was, do you know the story, John?
Yeah.
Okay.
When I heard it, it was reminiscent of the way Brandon Lee passed away.
Oh, for sure. So the story just basically says, and this is kind of crazy in societies. It is Alec Baldwin this is from New York Daily News. It's basically an op-ed. Alec Baldwin is still a human being. Conservatives delighting in his pain show how far we've fallen. This is by S.C. Cupp, who used to be on Fox. And I think now she's more of a progressive person. But anyways, Alec Baldwin, the actor, short-time talk show host, Donald Trump impersonator, and longtime blowhard villain of the right, has said and done some pretty terrible things over the past few decades. That's fair. He's been sued for assault and attacks on paparazzi, punching a man in the face during a parking spot, homophobic slurs. He left his daughter a voicemail calling her a little pig. But anyways, cinematographer Helena Hutchins is her last name, was killed, and the director Joel Souza was injured. Authorities say they haven't ruled out charges, but it seems highly unlikely that Baldwin had any true culpability here. I would agree with that. Production's been halted. Baldwin is cooperating fully, and basically he had a gun that was supposed to be firing blanks, and there were live rounds in it for whatever hell reason. I have no idea. I mean, I've told people about the story, like, why are the live rounds in it? I'm like, I don't know. I literally have no idea. I cannot give you an answer why there are live rounds on a shot. I don't know. I still don't know. But I'm not an actor, so I'm sure an actor could tell us. But anyways, he fired one of the things off, and shrapnel came out and killed this person. And that's a terrible story. I cannot imagine having to live with that for the rest of your life. I mean, that you ended someone's life. I mean,
accident or not.
Yeah, I mean, accident, you still live with it, you know. And
I mean, you'd say you'd probably feel even worse off because, I mean, if you did it on purpose,
yeah,
on some level, that was a conscious decision
right.
you made.
And you
at one point in time, you wanted that to happen.
Right.
Whereas, yeah, completely
insane. So what this article goes on to say is that now Donald Trump Jr. is selling websites going, guns don't kill people. Alec Baldwin does. That's classy. You've had Candace Owens making remarks about him saying, I guess your gun control doesn't help save lives after all. And it's been a number of conservative talking heads have come out and just taken the lowest shots of low you can take on someone. It's just, I didn't hear these shots on any of their conservative buddies that have gone through terrible things, maybe not as bad as this, but when, like, for example, when Rush Limbaugh had his drug problem, there were no jokes about that from the right. They just swept it under the rug.
There was what about when Dick Cheney and the
That's true.
hunting incident
Shot the person? Yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, that's way worse.
Yes,
I mean,
right.
If you had to,
right.
I mean, as far as Alec Baldwin is concerned, and any other actor, if you were to interview them, they don't set up the props.
Right.
And so, for as far as they are concerned, this gun is as safe as a cap gun.
Right. And most movies, like, I mean, you're shooting at a person. You're creating realism on film, and the gun has to look real, and it has to have recoil, and it has to have smoke, and it has to have a bang. So it's got to look as real as possible, or people will attack your movie going, oh, those guns don't look real, dude. Oh, And so now the conversation, number one, those scumbags. I mean, if you attack this man for this, you're a scumbag. And I've seen some people that we know on Twitter doing it, and I'm just like, come on, guys, really? Like, you got to do better than that.
It just seems so weird that there's a level of cancel culture, but this is allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas in the 90s, if this were to happen, there would be so many calls out backing Baldwin and saying, supporting him and saying, hey, we know this is a hard time, and with understanding, but the things that would get canceled today would just fly.
Right, for sure.
And it's so weird that those opposites, that dichotomy exists, where it's just a flip-flop, and it's just like, I mean, it's like you're taking the worst of both aspects.
Right. No, it's terrible. And so, they're scumbags. I mean, that's all I can really say about them. They're scumbags. But the talk becomes that, this person that was supposed to be in charge of the guns was always just not. I mean, when you're doing that job, you can cut corners in life. You're doing a spreadsheet for your boss. I mean, you can kind of half-ass it. Let's just be real. I mean, if you're doing some crap-ass assignment, you can half-ass it.
Some things can be undone.
This is not something you can half-ass. You have to be very diligent. You have to be very strict on the guidelines. You have to be very to the point of mathematically 100%. This gun is ready to be fired. It's not, it's 90% ready. It's 85%. No, it's got to be 100%. When you give that gun to a person and go fire at this person, you've got to know that gun's not going to kill someone. And this person failed. So do I see Alec Baldwin facing charges? I don't know what world we live in where this man would be charged for this. It's absurd that conservatives are going, he needs to be charged. Charged for what? He didn't. That would be like, do you remember when those Toyotas were like the brakes were failing on them and people were like hitting people and killing them? I don't know if people remember the story. It was some years back. And one of the men, it was one of the first Toyotas, it was a malfunction in the brake system, hit someone and killed them and was in jail for like 10 years. They said, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. The brakes work. And then it came out, Toyota said, because this started happening, like people weren't dying, but they were hitting, and Toyota came out and said, oops, there was a brake thing. We just, we didn't feel like we had to put that out. And it's like, bro, come on. I feel it's the same way. Once again, if he was responsible for the gun, I would say, he probably will be charged. But this is a crime that someone has to at least, someone's got to pay for this.
It feels like if you're going skydiving and your chute doesn't open, that you try to sue the guy flying the plane.
Right. Yeah. So it's crazy. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but my heart's with him and my heart's with the family for 100%. But he has to live with this like every day, like accident or not. So it's obviously been a talking point this week. It's been a huge story, so we obviously want to address it and just get our thoughts out of the way on it. Now, John, are you aware of the show Squid Game on the Netflix?
I have not watched it, but I know of it.
All right, so I've been hearing people discuss the show, and I don't know, man. I watched the trailer for it. The Netflix trailers come out, which I think is genius. Some people are like, I wish those trailers went and the trailer starts when you just click on the show and it's at the top. I like those because I'm like, okay, let me see if I'm going to like this or not. And I can pretty much assess from the trailer, like, this
isn't for me.
This is not for me.
This is interesting.
So I watched this one and it was English dub because this is a show shot outside of America. Probably it's either China or Japan. It's somewhere.
It's Korean, actually.
Korean. You're right. Because that's the central point to the show. Yes, it is in Korea. So it's in Korean. And so I don't know why, but Netflix decided to do the English dub version for the trailer. And this English dub was like the karate movies from the 70s where it was English dubbed. And it was so terrible. Like it was laughable, right? And so I watched the trailer and I go, this looks bad, dude. I was like, I'm not watching this English dub crap, dude. There's no way. So I go to work and my boss always comes in. He's like, what are you watching? And he's like, I'm watching Squid Game. I'm like, all right, cool. And I was like, is there any option other than the English dub? He goes, oh yeah, there's a Korean with subtitles. I went, okay. So my son had asked me, my 11-year-old son was like, Dad, can I watch Squid Game? This is before I watched it or anything about it. And I went, let me look into this. He goes, all the kids at school, and it's 11-year-old, okay, 6th grade. He's like, all the kids at school are watching it. And I'm like, So I start reading about it. I went, there's no way you're watching this. No, absolutely not. I was like, but you know what? I'll watch it and I'll give you my honest opinion instead of reading about it. So I start watching it. I watch first episode. I go, damn, this show's good as hell. And you're not watching it, kid. It's too violent for you. And I went through the entire series in 2 days. There's 9 episodes and it is simply fantastic. It is a great show. Deals with just a lot of themes. I think it's really a look at capitalism in a bigger sense of what it's about. If you don't know what it's about, just without spoiling anything, these people are taken to an island and they get to compete in games, and the winner of the games or winners of the game get money, and so that's where it starts. And the games, as you can imagine, things go bad to people who lose the games. I'm not going to tell you what happens to them, but you can watch it and see. So, and it follows a lot of people. The games start off with like 500 people almost, and it goes down and down and down till you get, and you're following some main characters. It's not Squid Game the entire time. It sets up characters. It shows their backstory. And I just thought it was a really good show, really interesting idea. And so I'm just concerned that 11-year-olds are watching this show. It is very violent, like very violent. Like, all right, I'm trying to think of just a movie like the Avengers movies. Okay, there's action in those movies. There's guns in Captain America. Literally, there are guns in the first Captain America. Tons of them.
Yeah.
But the violence is cartoonish. You never see blood. You never actually, you see people get hit, but they just fall down. Not in this series, they don't, baby. You see heads explode. You see
Quentin Tarantino-esque.
Yes. Oh, yes, very much so.
Yeah.
So if that's, and I'm recommending it, if you can stomach the violence, it's good. It's a good story. I think it's fun to watch. It's like the good Netflix series. You're like, I'm gonna watch another one. I'm gonna watch another one. You're like, it's hard to find a time to take a break because they set up the episodes well and they give you a good cliffhanger to lead into the next one. But I do know there's a lot of talk about this in middle schools. And I just don't know whose parents are letting their children watch shows like this. It is, look, I know I used to watch crazy stuff when I was a kid, probably snuck it, honestly. And it was a little bit different back then. Our parents were, as kids of the 80s, our parents probably let us do a lot of things that they probably did not know we were doing, just to be honest. Go out, do something, come back when the sun's down, or watch TV and leave me alone. So did I watch, like I said, did I watch The Omen probably last week? I talked about it before I should have. Probably so. But this show here, no 11-year-old should be watching this. I don't think anyone really, teenagers, I get it, but 16 and under, I don't know if they should be watching this show. That's my thoughts on it. If any parents out there disagree, some parents are like, live and let die. I'm gonna let my kid watch whatever they want.
I think a lot of kids. It's here, take this tablet and
yeah,
let me do my thing.
Yeah,
and as long as they're out of their parents' hair,
you're 100% right on that. That's 100% right.
That's where I would gather a lot of these kids are watching it.
So much. There was a story today that a elementary school basically banned. They didn't just ban kids from talking about it. And this is where I'm like, now we're getting to be a little bit crazy here with the story, but New York School District bans Squid Game Halloween costumes due to potential violent messages. Multiple elementary schools in New York have banned Halloween costumes that depict characters from the hit Netflix show Squid Game, citing its mature content and violence. I feel there's a line sometimes, and then people step over that line. All right, so you're going to let kids come as Fortnite characters, right? That's a violent video game. The game of Fortnite is...
The object is to kill
everyone. Is for you to be the last standing. I played it. I know. That's what it is. You're killing people. But you can dress as them. I'm sure they let people dress as Freddy Krueger. If a kid come in as Freddy Krueger, I'm sure they would let that. If they come in as Jason, if they came in as Michael Myers, I'm sure they would let that. They probably let them come in as a Slender Man. Look, man. As bad as I think the show is, if my kids did somehow watch it without my permission, and my kid knows everything that happened he doesn't know everything, but he knows like the plot point. He actually spoiled the end for me, which was hilarious. I kind of got upset, and my wife's like, "Why'd you get so upset about that?" I'm like, I don't know. Because I was like, all right, he said something. I went, all right. I said, I got some movies I'm going to spoil for you one day. I really won't do that, but the threat's there. But look. Let the kids dress up as the kids that want to dress up have already seen it anyway. You think they're going to go around mass murdering people? So if my kids watch a Squid Game, am I scared I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night and have a butcher knife over me? No, I'm sick of that argument that's been thrown around since the beginning of time.
I think a lot of cancel culture is as people attempting to prove that they're not bad people.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of those cases by being so forthright and saying that their kids shouldn't dress up like basically PlayStation buttons,
right?
That they're good parents,
right? Yeah, people do want a pat on the back these days, don't they? I'm doing a good job. I'm a good. Anytime someone does that, I'm like, they're probably they're actually not a good person.
Yeah,
like if you have to announce your good deeds to people, you're like, I don't know about that, but
I mean, almost anything. If you have to go out of your way to make a statement,
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
Most time it's not good. Robin says Halloween is all about violence or death, scary related acts. Fair point. That's 100% true. Ghosts, skeletons, zombies, vampires. These are all creatures that are killing people.
Yeah.
Just calm down, people. But I would say don't let your 11-year-old watch it. I would suggest you watch it. I think it's good. Someone said, your cousin said it's like Korean version of Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I would say that, but there's already I don't know if it's Korean, but there's another version of Hunger Games called, I can't remember what it's called now, but Battle Royale, which most people think Hunger Games. This is an older show that came out. It was basically Hunger Games, like a real version of it. So, I mean, it's an old trope. I mean, of course, there's going to be movies about that. But anyways, I know people have been talking about it. So if you want to go check out the Squid Game, definitely go do that. It's a decent show to check out. Other than that, I don't know if we really have any other news stories. It's kind of a slow news week. I believe one of the characters from Friends died this past week. The barista, the one who had the crush on Rachel. You know who I'm talking about?
Gunther.
Yeah, Gunther. He passed away, so rest in peace, Gunther. I'm going to give you a hypothetical real quick. I saw this on Twitter. I want to see what your opinion would be. The hypothetical was one got to go, okay? And they had, I'm going to tell you what the shows were, but now I'm going to give you a different one. They had Seinfeld, Friends, Always Sunny in Philly, and Big Bang Theory. One's got to go. Which one do you kick on that one? So you got Seinfeld, Friends, Always Sunny, Big Bang Theory. One has to go. Will be erased forever. No one could ever watch it again. Which one do you go? Which one do you know which one I'm picking? Well, actually, you don't know which one I'm picking because
you're actually. I mean, it's a tie for what I would pick.
It's a tough one for me.
There's two I'm thinking of, and oddly enough, it's the same two that you're thinking of.
Yeah, so it's either Big Bang or Friends.
Or Friends, yeah.
I would say this. I can watch Friends. I don't love it, but if my wife's watching it, I will watch it. I think it did a lot for culture in the 90s. It was a cultural phenomenon. Whether people liked it or not, everyone was talking about it. I remember going to school, people talked about it. Outside of work, people were talking about it. I don't think Big Bang Theory has the clout, and I don't think it's a very good show. I know you like it. Me and Baco actually talked about that last night. But I would probably get rid of Big Bang out of those. So, I mean, you're probably going with that. But I've got to...
I meing, it's one of those, too, because, I mean, you can't touch Seinfeld. Seinfeld's probably one of the greatest sitcoms ever.
Are you and your wife getting separated or something? Because I want to read you what she just typed in the chat. Seinfeld can go. This is your wife just said this in the chat.
She knows how I feel about Seinfeld.
Wow, that's a bold statement right there.
I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm.
The new season,
and she happened to come in when J.B. Smooth's character was kind of going on one of his rants. And, I mean, he doesn't know how to talk without using the F word.
Oh, yeah. No, he's F-bombs galore.
And so he probably let out about 7 or 8 of them in a row. And she's like, can we watch anything else?
Say no. Okay, so Seinfeld can go. Linda says Always Sunny. She loves all the other shows. Doug Metcalf says Big Bang is great. You're wrong. And Lisa May says Friends, never watched it. Now I'm going to give you a better one. Got to go.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Seinfeld, Arrested Development, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Curb Your Enthusiasm. One got to go. Ooh. Oh, that's tough. I think that's tougher than the one I saw. I don't even. Oh, I know this is blasphemy because people love this show, but out of those 4, and the reason I grouped those 4 together, here's the difference between Friends, Big Bang, and Seinfeld and Curb or whatever. And I said this last night to Baco. You generally, people like the character on Friends. They like the people on Big Bang. They would want to hang out with those people. That's the appeal of those shows. It's you love the characters.
Those ones.
Every show I know, they're the worst people, but that's why I love them. I don't want to watch shows of people I can hang out with because I'll just go hang out with those people. I want the worst people doing the worst things because it's funny. Okay, so I would say out of those, and this is the first time I really thought about it, man, I hate to say this because I think it's a genius show, but Arrested Development, I would kick it. I have too much respect. You know what I think of Seinfeld. Even though I've said before, I think Seinfeld is great. I think Curb's funnier. I think Curb is funnier. Maybe just today. I would compare it to who's a better quarterback, Joe Montana or Tom Brady. They're both great, right? They're 1 and 2. But I think Tom Brady's better than Joe Montana. Now, some people think Joe Montana was better than Tom Brady, right? And I think that's the Seinfeld Curb. Those are 2 of the greatest shows of all time, right?
The thing about that one is because, I mean, they're essentially the same show, but one of them is off the leash.
Right, yeah. True. And so, yeah, Curb's basically, what if it was just George Costanza's show?
Yeah.
Like, Jerry's gone. He's toast, you know. But I don't know what your thoughts on Sonny are. Are you a Sonny fan? Because I've never heard you talk about it.
Philadelphia is a great show because of the writing. The writing is it's multifaceted.
Yeah.
But each of those facets are it's like if you had 4 different puzzles, and every episode is like this.
Yeah.
There's 4 different jigsaw puzzles.
Right.
But when you put them all together, all those puzzles actually fit together.
Yeah.
And that's every episode of Always Inside. And to me, it's genius. It's very intellectual, and it's very silliness.
Yeah. And I think it has similar themes to Seinfeld and Curb. I mean, really.
Yeah.
They're all So, anyways, my choice, Arrested Development. What do you pick of those 4? Give us an answer, and then we got to get into the Mount Rushmore. Come on, John. Just don't overthink.
I'm going to have to say Curb just because it's so close to
I'm
Seinfeld.
sorry. I said let's move on. You've lost your damn mind. You just erased Curb Your Enthusiasm from the annals of history. Brother, you could be tried for that in certain states and convicted for crapping on the greatness that is Larry David. Larry David.
all of those shows are great.
All right. That's your take.
I'm just saying, if it wasn't so close to if you didn't have Seinfeld on that list,
yeah,
whatever you replaced it with,
yeah,
that's what would go.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's why I made it hard. That's the harder than that stupid Twitter. I'm gonna put out a Twitter poll with that this week, and let's see what happens. I'm gonna get people commenting on that one. All right. Well, that was good talk. Good TV talk. I always like talking about TV. Okay, now it is time for us to get to our Mount Rushmore, and this week we're doing Halloween costumes. That's right. I would say the most. What word am I looking for? I don't want to say epic, but just most iconic. Thank you. That is the word I was looking for. Most iconic Halloween costumes. So I don't know how you're approaching your list. I originally just written down a bunch of ones I've seen, but now did you know the Mount Rushmore picked all 4 presidents for a certain reason? Because I was sitting at home today going,
I did not realize that.
I was like, I got to do the Mount Rushmore. Wait a minute. Why did they pick the 4 presidents on the Mount Rushmore? They picked Washington because he was the founder.
Yeah.
They picked Jefferson because he was instrumental for the development of it, Louisiana Purchase. They picked Teddy because he was responsible for the...
He's the one I'm always lost on.
No, it's not. It's him and Jefferson. It's like development and maintaining or something like that. And then Lincoln was for the preservation. But Teddy did a lot for the country as far as national parks and kind of keeping the country together for a long time. So that's why he's on there. So the guy that did it picked all those people for those specific reasons. And so I thought that was like, I was like, that's fascinating. I never knew that. Oh, it's for the founding, the expansion, the preservation, and the unification of the United States of America, because Teddy was responsible for saving the national parks and preserving a lot of the country that developers obviously were going to take down. Anyway, that being said, I'm trying to think of this week as not quite that in depth. I mean, that would be insane, but I'm trying to pick 4 different kind of categories.
My number 1 would be kind of like the founder. So yeah.
All right. So you go number 1 this week, right? Okay. So we're doing Mount Rushmore, Halloween costumes. If you have some in the chat, please drop them. We'd love to see them. But John, let's get this thing started. What's your number 1?
My number 1 is, simple. But it's a classic. Charlie Brown did it. E.T. did it.
All right.
Ghost.
Yep. Ghost was on my list for sure. Ghost is a good one. I mean, if you haven't been a ghost, you probably almost were a ghost. I was a ghost in a school play once, which is weird. I mean, a bunch of white kids putting on white sheets is always kind of weird. But anyway, have you ever been a ghost?
Yeah.
Okay. Of course. It's when you're poor, that is an easy costume.
That's the go-to.
I mean, everybody's got a white sheet I got to. Yes, I know the joke. Everybody in the South has a white sheet in their house, but most people have a bedspread you can use for one night. Okay, so Ghost. Anything to elaborate on that, or that's? I mean, kind of okay. All right, so Ghost. Fair enough. So I'm not going to pick Ghost, even though I would love to. I will go with something akin to a Ghost that I've seen a lot of kids wear. It's kind of a simple outfit. I was this one time, but I'm going to go with the skeleton. Skeleton, I always see kids in skeleton outfits.
Call back to Karate Kid.
Karate Kid, of course, made it very, brought it back to culture. But it's a fun, when you see Halloween decorations, usually ghosts and skeletons, usually side by side. So I think I think I was a skeleton maybe once again. I think I was a skeleton in a school play or something like that. Like we used to have these school plays where they would have us, half the class would come as this, half the class would come as this. I think one year I had to go as a skeleton. So I think skeletons are cool. I would rock a skeleton outfit. I actually thought about it this year. Like if I'm going to, I don't like Halloween outfits. I don't like to wear them, but a skeleton would be easy to do. You get like a little onesie. They've got the Fortnite ones, and I've looked for it, and I couldn't find any at Target. So maybe one year. I don't know. We'll see. But
I mean, now they got these the ones. It's essentially a skeleton, but it's like the glow stick costume.
Yeah, those are cool. I like those too. So
yeah.
All right, so we got Ghost and Skeleton knocked out. All right, so now it's going to be fun to see where this goes. All right, so we're up to our number 2. So, John, what you got for 2?
My number 2, Halloween, let's face it, in this day and age, it's a kid's holiday and it's an adult holiday.
Okie doke.
So, my number 2 is Slutty and Search Your Job Up.
So I'll give you that. So, slutty jobs.
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. I dig it. I kind of had it in my mind. Definitely, when you go to a Halloween adult party, there's definitely going to be a slutty nurse. I don't even know if that's PC to say anymore, but it is what it is. So come at us. But the slutty this or that or that. I mean
we're not the ones sewing the costumes.
And we're not. Yeah, you can search that on the chat and it comes up. But it is what it is. It's a overly sexy adult costume.
Yeah.
Right. But we're calling it slutty job. I like that. Slutty job outfit. It's pretty good. And as a younger man, dug it. Loved it.
Highly appreciate it.
Highly appreciate it. Would win any costume contest if I was voting on based on that. Now, as you get older, you have kids, you're like, let's tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's tone it down out there. Okay. There's kids walking around, but I guess the nurse is one of the big popular ones. Obviously, there's cheerleader.
Cop, cheerleader.
Right. Yeah. So from the chat, Linda said, I've been a cheerleader and won a contest with the 50 Poodles shirt. There you go.
Skirt. Oh, shirt? Oh.
Shirt. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. So you have to share that with us. Okay. All right. Slutty job. That's a good one. Okay. So my number 2. So if we're grabbing grand categories like that, I'm just going to go ahead and grab the best one then. Every kid likes to go as their favorite. I'm going superhero. Is that too broad? Or are we good with that? I mean, how many superheroes are there?
I think we may need to narrow that down later on, but I think overall.
Right. I mean, how many superheroes are there? I mean, and you got to look, before the Marvel movies came along, there were only a few superheroes kids were going as. You were either Batman, Superman, sometimes the Hulk.
Maybe Spider-Man.
Maybe Spider-Man, of course, yes. And that was really the big 4.
Yeah.
I mean, if some kid came as like Ant-Man like 20 years ago, I would have loved it and I would have appreciated it, but everyone else,
you and him.
Everybody else would be like, who the hell are you, kid? Are you Robot Man or something? What's going on here? Coming in as a Vision or Scarlet Witch. They just think you're a witch if you're a Scarlet Witch. So that definitely has evolved, and you see a lot of Black Panther now, because I think that was very important, as I said before, to the Black community to have a superhero that they could go as. I mean, before that, Black kids were like, I'm Superman. Like, I mean, I get that, and that's cool, but you need your own guy, and they got him, so I love it. But anyway, I'm going to go with just superhero for kids is my number 2. All right, John, number 3.
I'm going to follow suit. I'm going comic book, but
okay.
I'm going more specific.
Okay.
And this is going to be a slash. So one for the girls, one for the guys.
I know what you're going to say.
Joker, Harley Quinn.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Good one. That's definitely one that is picked up. After the Nolan Batman movie, there were a lot of Jokers. Like, I mean, even The Office makes jokes about it, There was a lot of those. But, Harley Quinn definitely was one the girls have attached on to all the way, So, yeah, it's definitely a good one, man. It's, you see a lot. I mean, I see a lot of, like, young girls as Harley Quinn. I'm like, Oh, okay. That's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm not knocking it. If my daughter comes to me when it's going to be Harley Quinn, I'll be like, yeah, I guess. I mean, sure.
You just got to make sure you get to pick which version.
Right? Yeah, I get to pick. We're not picking the shorts version here. We're picking something that's fully covered. But all right, that's a good one. Okay, Joker, Harley Quinn. All right, so for my number 3, I'm going to kick it back to the ghouls and ghosts. But I always see a lot of kids. It's an easy costume to do. It doesn't take much effort. You get those little fake teeth going. Get your little black cape, and you can be a vampire. And vampires are very big on Halloween. It's almost even in the movie tropes, like when they're bobbing for apples, they either have to take their teeth out while they do it, or they grab the teeth with the vampire teeth. So it's in all like the 80s movies. But I still see vampire kids. I don't see as much as I used to see, but at Halloween, I still see them come up because I think it's an easy costume. You know,
Yeah.
I was a vampire one year. It's easy. I mean, all you got to do is slick your hair back a little bit, get a black cape, white shirt, and you're good to go. It's a simple costume, and for a lot of poor families, that makes it easier. You talk about your ghost, or you talk about, vampires or things like that. If it's easy to do, I'm all about it. You know, I mean, yeah, we all get excited when we see a great costume. Oh, that's really good, but the thing I do love about Halloween is the kids coming up and getting the candy. I've always liked that. Like, I want every kid, and, you know, I love kids, but I want every kid to come up and just feel special. Like, I don't care and I'm not one of those who's like, oh, you're 15 and you're still out here trick or treat. I mean, it's better than running the streets or some things like that. I don't care. Come up.
I'm more like, I appreciate if you come up not wearing a costume, that's worse than you wearing a costume and trick or treating.
You think so? I don't care. If they come up not wearing a costume, I'm thinking maybe they're just poor. They can't afford. I'm like, come here, bud. I'm gonna give you some more candy. I'm just a softy, man.
I'm not saying I won't give them candy, but I'll make them work for it. I'll say, tell me what you are.
What if they're like, I'm just a dude? I mean,
I'll wait till you come up with a better answer.
if they said that, I would actually go, that's good. Actually going to give you this whole box of candy for coming that strong with it. The dude, man. Yeah, so vampires is my number 3. Okay, John, we're down to your last one. You're down to your last one. What you got on
I
the
think
list?
if we were going for your traditional Mount Rushmore, there would be 3 of them have already been mentioned.
Okay.
You got your ghost,
Mm-hmm.
you got your skeleton, you got your vampire. There's one missing.
Go ahead.
That's the witch.
Yep, got to go witch. I mean, for every little girl out there, you got to go witch. Like, that's just, I mean, if you are a young child and you want to be scary, I mean, it is, you know, we talk about gender roles and things like that, but vampires are mostly dudes, you know. Skeletons are probably a lot of dudes, you know, and so I think witch is very female. There's not, you know, that's for little girls to do.
I mean, if you're a girl and you want to have a scary costume, and the thing is like, if you see any Halloween decoration cut out, it's either bats, which fall with the vampires, ghosts,
skeletons
and
or
witches.
Yeah, you're right. I think we got all the big ones. Okay, good one. I definitely was going to grab that one if you didn't, but I still want to look out for the ladies, and I look at the little girls. I'm looking at it. Yes, adults wear stuff too. I understand that, but I've noticed that one franchise, they have all the Marvel movies. They have all the Star Wars movies. So I'm not going to name Star Wars, but I am going to name the Disney princesses.
Yeah.
Or you will see, though, that's what my little girl's going as this year. And I'm not saying Disney princess. I'm just saying princesses, but it's pretty much become Disney princesses. But,
I mean, that's what you...
I mean, Cinderella, Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty. Now you've got Moana. You're starting to get Snow White.
Yeah.
You've got the Princess and the Frog for Black, which is I think that was another important thing, to introduce a Black Disney princess. I think it's important. I mean, I know people get upset like, oh, we're just making things for cultures. Yeah, they deserve to have one. We literally have all of them.
Yeah.
Minus Aladdin. We have them all. Okay, minus the lion, if you're into that kind of thing. We have all of the white princesses.
For those of you who are furries.
Yes, you've got the Lion King. You've got to give these people something, man. That's why I like the Moana. I like Princess and the Frog. I like all these Raya the Last Dragon. Give it to them, man. That's not to say we just had Frozen. There's still going to be white princesses, but mix it up, man. God, who's eating the same thing every day? You want variety, and just like our movies, give us some variety. So, Well, it's good, man. It's good. Let me go back over it, and I want to touch one thing with you. Speaking of variety, so John had Ghost, Slutty Jobs, love that one. Joker, Harley Quinn, a witch, and I had skeletons, superheroes, vampires, and princesses. So that's a solid list, man. It came together a lot better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
So I love that. We've got about 5 minutes left. I want to talk to you about the Eternals. Now, this movie is apparently out, or it's about to be out, because critics are starting to review it. Have you heard what the Rotten Tomato score is for this movie?
I have not.
It is. What if I told you? Where do you think it might land? It's a cast that features Angelina Jolie,
A lot of
Salma
big
Hayek.
hits, yeah.
It's a big hitter. This is we speak of variety. It's a variety cast, all ethnicities, all sexes, everything like that. Where do you think it might just land on the echelon? Is it going to be above Black Panther? You think it's going to be in the middle? Or where might you think this might land? Based on the trailers and everything.
I would probably put it just under Black Panther.
Well, I would have to tell you you'd have to put it under Thor Dark World. It is the lowest ranked Marvel movie according to Rotten Tomatoes at 65%,
Oh, wow.
according to the critics. 65%, man. This is crazy because I follow certain people on social media, and I follow this one guy on TikTok, and he did a review of it. He's like, I saw it early. It's great. It's one of the best Marvel movies. So I went, all right, this thing's going to be like 100%. 65%. This does not bode well. And I said at the time, it's going to take one misstep to mess things up for this franchise. And my only knock on the Eternals was, and I've read the comic book, it is a little heady to explain. It took them to set up Thanos. It took them like several movies to even just get you into that universe. These dudes in the Eternals are not even really on the same plane of existence as the Marvel movies. So they have to come down to Earth, explain why they didn't do anything during Thanos was here. The trailer looked good, man. I don't know. Are critics getting sick of these Marvel movies? That could be it as well. They may have seen the same movie over and over again. Maybe they're like, you know what? If they're not bringing like a Shang-Chi, if they're not bringing Black Panther, if they're just retelling Iron Man, if they're retelling whatever, we need something else. And I could see that.
It could be. It is kind of getting formulaic.
Yes, for sure. Yes. I mean, that's the problem with these movies. You know, for most part, the main character is not going to die. Black Panther is not going to die in Black Panther 1. No way. Iron Man's not going to die. Captain America's not going to. So the problem becomes, how do you tell a story? And it's like a James Bond, same thing. I mean, James Bond, when you see the James Bond movie, you know there's going to be another one. If you see this or that, there's going to be another one. And I speak lightly on the James Bond thing, but because I know the movie just came out, but that you always got to make like a Jason Bourne. How do you tell a story? You know, most of the time they just injure him really bad, and then you find a way to win. Do you think that you have any interest in seeing this at the theater? Like 0%?
It's if we didn't have kids,
Yeah, you would, right?
I would.
Okay.
But the fact that in this day and age in my life, it is difficult to go to the theater.
That's true.
It's working itself.
Yeah.
That being said, am I going to go to the theater to see Spider-Man No Way Home? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we've got to go see that. Yes, that has to be done. Like whatever the cases be. I will probably go see Eternals. I have 2 children. They're 13, 11 now, and they're right at the age. My one son's like 13 years old. Like, yeah, I want to go. I want to go see Shang-Chi. And my other kid was like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, I mean, come see it. And he liked it. So I'm still at the point where I've got people to go with me now, you know. So I will definitely go see it. I don't know if I see it opening weekend. I don't know if I have time, but I'm going to try to see it and see what it's all about. I hope it's a good movie. 65%, bro. That's. I mean, we could go down a list of movies that got 65%. Some of those are like bad movies. So, we'll see what happens. All right. Well, that's the end of the episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for the chat room. Really, really engaging it today. We had some good ones. Glenda said, my daughter has been Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie. That's a cool outfit. That's very cool. Yes, vampires rule. And Glenda did mean the skirt. She had a 50s poodle skirt, not shirt. So just clarification there. Well, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and I hope you enjoy your Halloween, however you celebrate. If you're going to an adult party, enjoy, be responsible. If you're taking your kids out, do that. I'm having a little shindig at my house on the 30th, so hopefully I'll see John there with his children and a bunch of other people. And just happy early birthday to my wife. It's her birthday tomorrow. She does not listen to this show at all, so I could have never mentioned it, but just in case somebody does, listen. And I did say happy birthday to her, which is in just a few hours. So there you go. That's that. We are Blame Your Brother. You can go check us out on the World Wide Web at bybpod.com. That's bybpod.com. You go there. You got all the past episodes, all the ways to grab us on social media, all of our fun accounts. We'll be putting some polls up this week, some graphics of our Mount Rushmore. So we encourage you, go check it out. Give us some feedback. I've started to see the numbers. You know, I do want to say one thing before we leave. Lee, my brother, was at this memorial. And did you hear the shots taken? I know he listens. Did you hear his shots taken? Did you hear what he said to me about this podcast?
No.
He said, I've heard a lot of people aren't listening now since I left. I guess it's not as funny anymore. Okay. I can't really argue with him too much. But he did add a dynamic. But anyway, I said, I know if he's listening to the end, we're watching you, man. But we still enjoy it. And I know people love it. I've heard some good stories on that Cobras and Fire episode about he was riding around with a guy and he was like listening to the Mount Rushmore and he said the guy was like way into it and was like talking about it the next week. So we know we still got you regulars out there and we love you guys. So just tell a friend about the show. Go to bybpod.com. If you're going to be buying anything through Amazon for this holiday season, use that Amazon link. Buy all of your stuff through that. We get a kickback, helps us out, helps support the show. And I guess with that being said, John, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.